if we can talk about the training of the civil pilots, how does that differ? Of course, it's got no direct relation with the people who are getting to join the armed forces as aviators. But yes, I've been, in fact, I've guided a few aspirants who were inclined towards civil flying, and then they said, can I, at this point of time, things are not working out. Maybe it is because of the very high costs of flying training for your CPL and all. But yes, so if one were to take civil flying as an option, right? So what is your advice for such people? What kind of training should they look for, and what is the time period, etc.?
Okay, let me tell you a little about civil flying, like the question you asked. Number one, we have to do ground studies. The theoretical knowledge studies that you have to do for a civil pilot is absolutely the same theoretical knowledge studies you do in the Air Force, Army, or Navy for flying. This theoretical knowledge will take you anything between 4 and 6 months. That is, provided you devote 5-6 hours a day to it. Having passed those theoretical knowledge exams which are conducted by DGCA, you can look to flying. In flying, you have to do 200 hours of flying on small aircraft. Okay. Now, these 200 hours are nowhere as taxing, as difficult as the training which is done in the Air Force. Because an Air Force pilot also does approximately 200 hours before he gets his commission. Whereas a civil pilot will be doing these 200 hours, but in relatively comfortable circumstances, because the maximum exercises that you will be doing will be a stall or a steep turn. There is no other difficult exercise. Rest of the time, you are flying straight and level.
So no aerobatics, no spin, no loops.
No loops, no spin, no stall turns, no barrel rolls. Out of the 200 hours of flying that you do, close to 125 hours will be spent flying straight and level. That is it, because you are basically going to be an airline pilot or a commercial pilot, and your job will be to just carry passengers from one place to another. Let me give you the example. An aircraft taking off from Delhi, going all the way to San Francisco, Boeing 777 Air India, 2 flights every day. The pilot takes off, he handles the controls for 5 minutes. Thereafter, the aircraft is an autopilot for the next 14 hours. Thereafter, he comes in to land and he flies the aircraft for next 5 minutes to land the aircraft. So majority of the time you are doing straight and level. You are not a systems operator, you are a systems manager. You manage all the systems properly for the next 14 hours. And if something should go wrong, you take over. So you are being trained for a different purpose. So the training is slightly different. But if you do flying in the Air Force, Army or Navy, and then switch over to commercial pilot, you are that much better. Because 90% of the time in the Air Force, Army, Navy, you are manually flying the aircraft, because the way you have to enter a valley, come out, negotiate the weather inside the valley, you are flying manually all the time, and your mind is working already. What is behind that cloud? How will I avoid it? So your flying skills are that much superior because you have been constantly taxing your mind. So that is why in commercial aviation today, if there is a pilot from the Army, Navy, or the Air Force coming out, the private companies immediately grab him. But that said, you can get the same experience in civil, but it takes a little extra time. Plus, the the cost is very high.